Here's your Rugers ready. Have a look at it. All done. Should be okay for you to pick up from Jocelyn on Sunday morning. Just need to finalise that with her. I forgot to ask her yesterday. Trigger is much nicer now. I test fired it to make sure I hadn't made a machine gun.
What did he say?
I test fired it to make sure it...
Where? I was wondering about that. Where does he do that?
He would go to the ranges.
No, he doesn't.
It was a bit marginal on cycling with CCI standard velocity, but went very well with Winchester.
Looks nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Well, a very good evening to everybody that might be listening out there. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, Patricia and David, on a relatively calm evening here. It's actually almost 90% cloud cover now, but it's been quite a decent sort of a day for doing things outside. Quite sunny, got up to 16 degrees, but with very little wind. So probably about 10 knots of northwest wind now, and 1023.6 on the bar. So there's a fair amount of news for boats today, but let's just have a look at what's happening in Australia. Victoria goes into a new lockdown this evening. They've had, I think about 6 new cases, but they are quite concerned. No, it might be 16. Can't read my writing because it kept changing during the course of the day. And the lockdown, they don't say whether it's going to be 3 days or 5 days, but certainly it's going to include the weekend. Queensland have got 3 new cases. New South Wales is in a real deal of hurt, really, 65 new cases. And unfortunately, half those cases have been out in the community. Having a look at my antenna here, it's showing quite a reasonable SWR, but never mind. So that's what's happening in Australia. Certainly there's not going to be much movement out of New South Wales for a while. In New Zealand, we have 21 cases found at the border, still nothing out in the community, which is real good. 16 mariners from the Spanish ship Playa Zahara, that's 16 out of 18, have got COVID. They got swabbed in, where did they come in first? Taranaki and New Plymouth, and now they're on their way south to be dealt with there. Fiji has 634 new cases, so their total of active cases is now over 10,000. So a lot to do there. There's the new group of medics from New Zealand and Australia have arrived to help out, but they're still doing very well with vaccinations, over 62% now, so that's pretty good going. All right, the news from boats. Well, I tell you what, I got quite a shock today. I looked further east, and 15 boats have left the Galapagos heading to the Marquesas. Lots of boats, of course, are in the societies, and a few in the Marquesas already, but obviously these boats have had their COVID crew have had their COVID vaccines, and they're on their way. A little bit later than normal, but anyway, quite a few of them. 5 are heading west already from the Society Islands towards Fiji. Actually, 4 boats will arrive in Denarau tomorrow, so that's pretty exciting. River Deux, the French boat, is definitely going to Denarau. They'll sort of be neck and neck with Argo. River Deux are coming around the bottom of Viti Levu, and Argo is going to lead in the group of boats that left here. Castile is not far behind. Castile is at 1856 and 17724 east. It looks like they've got about 25 knots of southeasterly. All these boats are going to look real forward to getting into the lee of Viti Levu and away from these strong southeasters. Calypso's further back, 1921, 17754, not too far away. And at last we see Moxie on the AIS. This is a 14-metre cat that started off, or a bit after 2 p.m. I think they left, and the others left at about 11. But Moxie are back on the AIS, 2107, 17925 east. speed of 6.3 and a course of 306. So that's going to be quite exciting for the boats to actually get some peaceful conditions to have a good night's sleep. So that will be good. Free wind, by the way, in the other direction should arrive pretty late tomorrow into Opua. They've currently got the wind behind them, which is good. 6.4 speed on a course of 183. Very light winds at the moment, but boy, they are due to get up tomorrow, 25 to 30 knots. So they'll be really moved towards their destination, and I'm sure will be pleased to get in because they left Lautoka on the 2nd of July. So just over a 2-week passage. Looks like the seas are not too bad at the moment because Mimi, that's the big power boat that came from French Polynesia, looks like it will probably pass them. It's doing 10.5 knots at the moment, so they've obviously worked out they've got enough fuel, and they are probably anxious to get into Opua as well. Savu, not to be left out, we'll get a new boat, US boat called Mirage, probably early Saturday. It's coming in from the east. I'm choking because David gave me some lovely shelled walnuts, and I think I've got a bit stuck in my throat somewhere.
That'll do it.
That will do it, says he. So that's about where we are, and I will pass it over before I choke and see what the weather is going to be for tomorrow.
Well, there you go. Cracked walnuts. Got to be careful of those things. And hello again from the good old Gulf Harbor Radio weather desk. And I think we'll just quickly go over the basic synoptic picture, which is really not much different from yesterday. Now, our high that we've been talking about continues to drift very slowly east-northeast, west-centered over New Zealand, but it's now tracking. Highs tend to track, by the way, typically towards the equator, and lows typically head towards the poles. Obviously not due north or due south, but the trend is toward the poles for a low and towards the equator with a high. That pretty much is, you pretty much could put that in the bank. Now, our high, like I said, is going east-northeast, centered at roughly 32 south and 175 east. That's 32 south, 175 east. Central pressure, 1026, so it's fairly strong, and it's unfortunately got enough density to it. The isobars are fairly close, and that's the reason we're getting some strong winds up in the Fiji area. In fact, from probably 25 south all the way up to Fiji, fairly stiff winds. Now, the huge area depression to the west is still in the Oz Bight, but extends cyclonic flow well into the Tasman Sea. In fact, all the way out to 160 east cyclonic flow. So within this flow, we've got a secondary low that is forming, and a frontal band is developing as well, along with another trough. Now, in fact, there's even a secondary low that's forming, so it's going to be a complex depression before it's all said and done. But anyway, this entire mess is going to drift to New Zealand and promises poor weather to come. I hope it's not on our shooting day on Sunday, but we'll see what Murphy has to say. Now, the low well to the east of the high that I first mentioned in this report continues to send its trough, actually cold front slash trough, turns into a trough as it gets closer to Fiji. But anyway, it goes to Tonga and Fiji. Those two island groups are being affected by this, and we talked about that yesterday too. I also see trough activity over Wallis and Samoa, and that continues on to the northern coast. Now, that's very typical this time of the year to see that happen. Now, for Fiji proper, Fiji Met has issued a strong wind warning for southwest Viti Levu waters, the Kendavu Passage, the entire Koro Sea, the Vatuira Pass, always pretty windy in there, and the southern Lao waters. So we have a strong wind warning from Fiji Met. Actually, they issued that earlier today, but it's still in effect. Now, the trough that I mentioned earlier does lie over the group, more of the eastern part of the group, but virtually covers the whole thing with associated cloud and showers. Now, regarding winds, expect 20 to 25 knots, mostly from the southeast. Now, this is going to continue right through Friday. Saturday, I think we'll see easterlies up to 20 knots, might even hang right around 20 knots on Saturday. But what I'm going to do tomorrow being Friday, I'll give you a wind forecast for the weekend. I'll cover Saturday and Sunday in a little bit more detail so that boats that are moving around or want to move around can have an idea of what to expect. And if you are interested in certain areas for winds and whatnot, I know you can get them on the internet and so forth. But if you want us to cover a few areas, drop us an email in advance would be lovely. And we'll be happy to take a look at those areas for you. And, well, that's it for me. Can't think of anything else. So off to the chief.
All right, thank you for that. And yes, the reason he's going to do a big roundup tomorrow is that because there's no boats left on passage that we know of that might be listening, we will not be on Saturday and Sunday. So nothing on Saturday and Sunday from us. All right, looks like I might have to get up on the roof and look at what's going on because we've got a bit of an antenna problem here. All right, is there anybody wanting to touch base with us? This is Gulf Harbour Radio. And if you do want an email, it's ghradio@extra.co.nz. Is there anybody wanting contact now on the radio? Please call. Nothing heard. Are there any relays from anybody? Okay, folks, nothing heard. So for those boats arriving tomorrow, I'm sure you'll be really excited. Your last night at sea. Been a pretty good passage one way or another. Not too bad. So have a good time. Hope all goes smoothly with the check-in process. Cheers, everybody. Gulf Harbour Radio is clearing the frequency. It's all yours.
Short and sweet. Actually, not that short, really.